hit to second base. And nice play by number 10, the second baseman for the Outlaws. That would be Jordan Kowalski. So good contact by leadoff hitter, making a good slugging percentage, but comes up short on reaching first base, so one down in the first inning. And from what I understand, had an opportunity today to speak with the coach of the Outlaws, number 44, and he indicated that very wide age range on this team, ranging from anywhere from 16 years to 40 years of age. Starting pitcher for the Outlaws today rings in at age 36, so it gives you an idea of the perspective, which makes this a pretty cool contest. And that ball was ripped into right field. Easy at him for number 25. But good contact so far for the Diesel team. Nothing to show for it as far as runners on base. 2 outs, top of the first. Number 15 for the Outlaws, trying to get a number on number 15 for the Outlaws, but looks like it may be Matt Schauffelen. And we mentioned earlier, 36 years of age, but pitching like he's 26 right now, showing good control and putting the ball into playable positions for his fielders to make the outs. So far a good start to the top of the first for Matt Schauffelen. And we have our first hit of the day. That'd be number 14 for the Diesel team. And that looks like that would have been John Zimba. Zimba with a base hit.
That's Timmy Morozek picking up the play-by-play in our first game of the year. Working together, Timmy Morozek, Frank Wolfe for WNYathletics.com, as we are out at the Northtown Center for opening day of Muny AAA baseball. The Diesel taking on the Outlaws. Diesel, of course, Western New York World Series participants the last several seasons, taking home 2 World Series championships under the guidance of head coach Paul Wolfe and his staff of Rob Learson, Jimmy Spano, BJ Stack, Kevin Hughes, Neil DeMartin, Mike Wagner. A number of these guys have won World Series championships out in Battle Creek, Michigan, and they're taking on a feisty Outlaws team here today.
So the Diesel team has some really nice looking uniforms. They somewhat harken back to the old school days of the 50s with the nice stripe down the middle of the breastplate for the jersey, and a lot of these players are also rocking the high socks and bringing it back to old school, which is one of my favorites, the high sock look. But so far, Diesel put a runner on first, and now he's advanced to third. As a result, they're looking like they have now a real live opportunity to score, as Matt Weidelspack is holding for it at the bat. Matt Schauffelen, also known as Shuppy, looks like he's going with somewhat of a knuckleball, Frank, and it's a very strange delivery. It gives you something to think about, and right there, going to deliver his first walk, as Matt Weidelspack shows a very good eye reaching first base. And it looks like the Diesel team, as you mentioned, they've had some tremendous success here in Western New York Muny and beyond. So far, they're looking like a very veteran organization, and after getting out the first two batters, they're now in good position with runners on first and third. Sheppy delivered the ball back to first base, keeping Weidelspack honest. It's very interesting, though, when you look at the Muny leagues are sometimes divided by age group, but this being a season where little bit things are a little different, of course, with Corona. They're combining ages, and it's a cool variation of players 16 to 40. You think about it, it's a great way for the bonding of baseball. You know, a lot of these guys are past college and still have the opportunity to lace them up, hit the ball diamond, and diamond looks beautiful today. Warm day here at the former UB Stadium. 92 degrees with about a 15-mile-an-hour wind. And that ball is hit just over our tent into the batting cages, fouled off beyond the right field line. So up to bat right now is Nick Jasnik, and Jasnik also is a pretty big force at the plate, as was Matt Weidelspack. So the 4 and 5 batters show some pretty good girth at the plate, and Jasnik with a nice shot down past the shortstop. That's going to advance the runner and score their first run. So big Nick Jasnik earns an RBI single and also brings Matt Weidelspack to third base. So right there we have our first score of the game. Nick Jasnik, very strong at bat for the young man, number 87. And that ball is popped up to right field. Number 32, Mark DeLeo, pops up to third, and that'll end the inning. So after the top of the first, the Diesel hits the ground running, 1-0. We mentioned the 15-mile-an-hour wind. I'm sure you'll be able to hear that at times through the microphone. We'll try to avoid that at all costs, but forgive us if some of this wind does pick up. I'd like to thank everybody for listening today on WNY Athletics. Just great to be back. Got the call today from Frank Wolfe, and much to my surprise, broadcasting some baseball. Feels good, and feels like we're getting back to normal. Good to see Russ Battaglia on the video doing some tremendous work, picking up where we left off. I was mentioning to Russ before this game, the last broadcast that I did, I believe, was the last high school game of Western New York play, and that would have been the Williamsville South Billies earning their championship for Section 6. In the crowd at that night was the famed coach from UConn, Gino Auriemma, and that was his last action watching sports, as well as everything went pretty much dark after that Thursday. And since that time, sports have slowly gravitated again, and baseball, let's hope, for Major League's sake, can get started at the end of this month. Warming up on the Diesel mound is number 55, and I will try to get a name for number 55, as we did not get the numbers on the roster, but pretty tall looking force on the mound, and see if number 55 can use his length. A lot of times the tall pitchers have an opportunity to hide the ball a little more, and they can fool a batter oftentimes just with their length alone. What looked like a good start to the first inning for the Outlaws. Matt Shoflin started to have that ball get picked up a little bit, and let's see now if the Outlaws can cover some ground offensively. Up to bat right now is Zach Denz, number 4, the shortstop. Number 55 for Diesel has a very interesting delayed delivery. It's one of the best things about baseball, in my opinion, is watching a pitcher's delivery. Everybody's unique, and no one style works, but the off shot of the delay in delivery oftentimes gives hitters fits. Right there, Zach Denz just fouled off the ball beyond the home plate area. So he got his first contact of his at-bat. A little bit high for number 55, but certainly showing he can throw some smoke. That ball looks like it clocked in, I'd say, right around 80 or higher.
That is Chris Quitzer. Chris Quitzer is on the mound for the Muny Diesel.
And Quitzer having a good start so far to this first at-bat.
Harry Doyle here with Timmy Mrozek on the call. Glad to have you with us in your living room.
Man, what a treat to see baseball. And, you know, it might be a little warm out today, but that breeze, that 15-mile-an-hour wind, or I guess they call it breeze in the summer, is certainly making things more tolerable. And Quitzer is reaching full count, I believe, almost right now, at least 2-2, with another foul ball by Zach Denz. So Denz battling through this at-bat and making things a little bit difficult right now for Chris Quitzer. Quitzer with a high ball, and that's going to earn Denz a walk. Went past the catcher, so Quitzer had to, or Denz I should say, had to hustle to first base. And right just like that, the Outlaws have a man at first. Up to bat now is Jordan Kowalski. Kowalski is the second baseman, so going with the speed at the early part of the lineup usually is what you see, and certainly interesting to see positions second base, shortstop, or the leadoff there. So let's see if Jordan Kowalski can move the runner.
Baseball is your game, is it not, Tim? This is your greatest.
I really enjoy.
Game.
I've always
enjoy
loved baseball. Boxing would be one of my favorite sports in general, but in terms of a team sport, baseball for years. I grew up with it. You know, I always loved baseball and football. Primarily were my favorite two, but I think as you get older, you learn to really enjoy all sports. And but baseball, you know, it's rich in tradition with family. I don't know about you, Frank. My uncle, my father, those were two people that were instrumental in my life and having a love of baseball. As a young boy, I was able to go to my uncle, who lived above my grandmother. So my great uncle, he had the radio on or the television, and it was always great to just go there and look at his baseball periodicals, sporting news. He always had a huge collection of those, and that's pretty much where the love came from. And of course, my father would take me to games, whether it was the Bisons or the Cleveland Indians. How about your first memories of the game, Frank?
Timmy, my dad would take us to Detroit to see the Lions and Yankees. Cheers, my friend.
Absolutely.
Did I say Lions? he's been out of sync all day. But Tigers and Yankees. God bless this kid. But thankful for those trips that we took. Two summers in a row we went there. Of course, we spent a lot of time at Exhibition Stadium with the Blue Jays. You know, grew up early in my childhood a Yankee fan, but slowly moved on over up north there to like the Boston Red Sox. Right around 1984-85 is when I picked up my love for baseball. But Dave Winfield, Don Mattingly, Dave Righetti, Goose Gossage, those guys will always have a special place in my heart. Some of my favorite all-time memories were watching those guys play.
Yeah, and you know, for someone to go from Yankee to Boston is somewhat sacrilege, as some would say, but
I haven't spoken to my dad in 20 years.
But you know, you figure the the teams that both those had in the 80s weren't always spectacular. The Yankees did reach the playoffs a few times, but Boston, they had their struggles until the late 80s, and of course 86 was the year that they would like to forget, but they did make better memories as the 2000s came to pass, and now they've got the ghost off their back.
1986 gave me a deeper appreciation for baseball. Having gone through that experience, the chuckles and the laughs, and then of course you're a diehard Bills fan. You go through 4 Super Bowl losses in a row. You were just a glutton for punishment. So to see them finally win one made it all worthwhile.
Yeah, and my first memories of watching Major League Baseball was 85 with George Brett and the Tyne Tar. Just a very somewhat distant memory and very blurred just because I was so young, but I remember George Brett running out onto the field and arguing with the umpire, and Kansas City later went on to win that World Series in 7 games. But 86 was the first year I really could understand the game at a better length, and that Game 6 certainly was something for the Mets to come back. I actually watched that game in the morning following. My parents had a VCR and we taped the game. I became a big Mets fan that year.
Good for you. You know, that's another team that I came to appreciate too, all the talent they had. I mean, the Strawberries, the Goodens, the Darlings. You know, the list goes on and on. One of my favorite all-time players, Gary Carter. You know, who I would say was probably closer to his last legs.
Yeah, and Carter
in
was
86. He didn't play much longer than that.
Not really, and he was one of the veterans that team needed. They all had such character and charisma. Of course, the stories afterwards that were told kind of adds the intrigue of that team. And to this day, I think the 86 Mets really hold a special place in a lot of New Yorkers' hearts, mainly in Queens. So up to bat right now is Tom Anderson. Anderson takes a very short, compact swing, and that swing did not bode fruitful at that plate as he struck out, but he went down swinging, and certainly the Outlaws showed that they can manage some opportunities offensively, but they did not get too much done other than the walk by Zach Denz. So good first inning for Chris Quitzer and his Diesel defense.
So we're going to try and take a commercial break here. We'll be back in a moment. You're watching Muny AAA Baseball on the WNY Athletics Network.
We didn't get here by accident.
Got a Scroy financial commercial
with
going
a
there. Okay.
A plan
So you
to
got a
protect
lineup
your
for...
future.
Yes, here, you can take them
invest
because
in
I
your future.
wrote them down.
It started
Okay.
with Scroy Financial.
Okay. Are these both of them?
Yeah.
Protect,
Beautiful.
He didn't put numbers
Scroy
on,
Financial.
Paul,
Okay.
Paul didn't
We
put
needed
numbers.
a plan.
I got numbers here.
A plan to protect.
Do you want numbers for them, guys?
I've got the
By
Outlaw
investing
numbers.
in our future. That
I
all
guess if you
started
had numbers,
with
I could
Scroy
do that,
Financial.
sure.
Plan,
Cool.
protect,
We're coming out of
invest.
commercial. 2.
Scroy Financial.
Welcome back to the Northtown Center on this Monday, July 6th for this Muny AAA baseball game. Harry Doyle and Timmy Mrozek bringing you the call. Russ Battaglia with the award-winning videography going on out there and just past first baseline. He's in direct line of getting hit with a foul ball. Look at him. No glove, no nothing. He's just warrioring up. Tough dude. He just got back from a nice vacation in the Carolinas. He's getting ready to go on a vacation in the Carolinas down the road. Russ never takes a vacation.
I know he was talking to me about looking forward to that trip pre-game. So hopefully that trip happens for Russ. And I was supposed to have my nephews in from Florida this upcoming week, and due to the quarantine, we're going to have to put a pass on that for the time being, and hopefully we'll get that memory again. But every summer they come up, and usually we go to a Bison's game, and so far a lot of plans have been put on hold, and it's just nice to see that the baseball is going to be hopefully here to stay now, as this is the first game of the AAA Muny League. We have 8 teams this year, I believe 7 local and 1 team that will be playing from outside the area.
Shoplin. Is it Shoplin or Shofflin? Did we get a correction on that? Do we know what we're doing with that name
I
yet?
think they're calling him Sheppy.
Sheppy?
I heard
Okay.
Sheppy, so I would think it would be Sheplin.
His first batter of the second inning goes for a strikeout.
That would have been Mark DeLeo with the strikeout. Now up to bat is Jacob Victor. Victor takes a nice wide stance.
Is he throwing knuckleballs?
It looks like a knuckler. It really does. Either that or the old ephus.
Either way, it's been tough to hit.
And the thing about that knuckler is you're either on with it or you're not. And a very lost art as
Victor hit a real weak single through the infield, and he's going to be on board. The Diesel have their first runner of the second inning here.
So the Diesel really, they started out, again, that first inning, they went down 2 outs, no runners on base. The first 2 at-bats were resulted in outs, and then Sheplin came into some trouble as he reached the meat of the order.
That'll bring up Tom Lacongo, the catcher for the Diesel. This name does not sound familiar. This could be his first at-bat as a member of this baseball club. Takes a big swing there. Comes up with nothing.
And a lot of these youngsters are either finishing high school, into their college, or past their college. So it's a good mix of ball players. And, you figure these Muny leagues provide a great opportunity for the young athletes, the young high school kids, and kids that are just going into college to have that opportunity to be around a little more veteran scene.
Lacongo goes down swinging, does he not?
Absolutely. Number 24, Matt Grace, is at the bat.
He is your DH today.
Grace, left-hander. Grace makes contact. Fouls over the catcher's backstop. Hits the net. And the wind is playing a factor right now. It could be playing a factor all day. Mentioning to Ross Battaglia pregame, Buffalo summers, we always have a little bit of wind in the afternoon, and that's no different today. Again, fouls it behind the backstop, so he's starting to get a piece of the ball, and Matt Grace holding on strong. For Matt Shefflin here, though, after that first inning where he was hit a few times late in that inning, the goal here is to get out unscathed, and right now he's got a runner on first with 1 out. That's hit well to the right
In
field.
and out of the glove of the left fielder. Right fielder.
Number 25 just couldn't handle it. That was Jeremy Kowalski with the first error of the game. And they'll take it as another run advances.
Now you've got second and third. Excuse me, they went to the right fielder, who had a couple of nice plays early in that first inning there. But that one may have gotten lost in the sun, and I'm going to chalk that up to just not playing baseball here, Tim.
Yeah,
I think we're going to see some sloppy play. I got to expect that and cut this kid some slack, so I will.
Absolutely, and I'd say the same would hold true for the infield. Some of these balls early are not really too sharply hit, but difficult enough to get through. And right there is another single. Number 27.
Bring another run home.
Mike Wagner, the leadoff hitter, brings home a runner and makes it now 3-0. 2 runs here so far in the second inning, and Matt Shefflin is looking to see if he can right his ship on the mound. And that knuckler, they're definitely seeing it, and that's the one thing with a knuckleball. You can either stifle the competition with it, or they're on top of it all day.
And it's a costly error, Tim, is that there were 2 outs on the Diesel at that point, and the drop error fly ball there brings in a run, leads to another one here in the top of 2.
And that first error, like you said, Frank, difficult to overcome, and they would have liked to have got out of that inning, but nonetheless, we're runners on first and 3-0.
Ground ball is second. Easy play. And the Outlaws will get out of the inning as DeMartin grounds out.
And number
4-3 there.
Number 10, Jordan Kowalski, makes the play at second base. And like you mentioned, though, the errors today with the wind as well. The wind sometimes will play a factor on that ball moving at different, especially if it's a soft pop fly, it could tail off a little more. But the errors so far, just one on the Outlaw part. The Diesel team, with their pedigree and their tradition, I would expect them to be a little more sound in their fielding. And you never know, though. Errors could make or break a game, and so far that error allowed an extra run with the Western New York Diesel, coached by Paul Wolfe, up 3-0.
Just went to the commercial there. So you got Diesel 3-0.
WNYathletics.com is the premier high school sports
Buffalo
website
Diesel
in
or
Western New
just
York.
Diesel?
Providing the best sports coverage of Section 6 and Monsignor Martin leagues. Check out our page for daily
Tom
game
Prince has a
recaps
score.
and
How
late-breaking
long
sports
is your
news.
brother coaching?
Our online scoreboards are
long as I can
updated
remember.
in real time. Never miss a goal or
Diesel team
touchdown.
itself, he's coached them for a while.
He took it over. It was at one time
today, or follow us on
called
Twitter,
something
like
else.
us on Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube.
He named it the Diesel.
Cool.
Back here at Northtown Center, bottom two between the home team Outlaws and the Diesel. The Diesel lead 3-0. They picked up three. They pick up 3 runs there in that.
They picked up
They picked
two
up
in
two?
that inning,
Okay.
and they had one in the first, so we're standing at 3-0. And an error was a big part of that inning for the Outlaws in right field. And like you said, give the young man some slack. It's early, and they did have a few practices. I was speaking with one of the players pregame. They were able to have a few practices, of course. Many of the players just keeping in shape on their own during the COVID restrictions.
It's about all you can do, all you can ask for.
And right there, Chris Schweitzer with a nice fastball inside. Strike one. Up to bat right now is Karen Moore. Karen Moore got a stocky stature, takes a very compact swing, similar to Tom Anderson. And he's going to go down looking. So Chris Schweitzer putting together a nice late afternoon, early evening here at the Northtown Center. Schweitzer reminds you of like a Chris Sale. He's very tall. Keeps the ball delayed in his delivery, and certainly playing a factor with not allowing much rhythm for the Outlaw batters right now.
They say number 12 is up, but I am not seeing his name on this starting lineup.
That would be number 12, Nick Jank.
Nick Jank. Okay, I got you now.
Another lefty, Nick Jank is. Jank with a solid hit to the shortstop, and the shortstop with a great delivery to the first baseman, and we've got 2 down.
One thing about this Diesel team I've noticed over the years is that they have really been in sync with one another. You know, it comes with playing year after year with the same group. You just get in sync. Yeah, you know, you talk about men's softball all those years. What are they? Was it the Bachelor's Den? Had a great softball team for years and years. You know, you just get in sync with one another, and you're almost unbeatable, really.
Well, especially baseball itself is a game of camaraderie along the bench and in the clubhouse, and you know, off the field activities. I'm sure these guys are quite a group on and off the field. And like you say, that years of continuity just leads to success. And so far, credit to Coach Paul Wolfe keeping a nice squad together and certainly looking tough already into this early 2020 season. Up to bat right now is Jeremy Golansky. Golansky just fouled off the first baseline with a nice solid rip, but struggling to find that first major hit are the Outlaws. So far, the only on base was Zach Denz with a leadoff walk in this game. So Chris Quitzer keeping the balance of the Outlaws quite off balance right now. They're not able to find much rhythm, and Quitzer looks very impressive. I'd have to say he's their ace if he's getting the nod on opening day, unless there was an injury or some other factor. But Quitzer does look like an ace right now. Showing good movement, moving the ball high, low. That ball just a little in the dirt, but not too far off from a difficult pitch. Another ball in the dirt. So Jeremy Kowalski showing a good eye right now.
I want to thank you if you're just joining us on our WNY Athletics broadcast via YouTube. Tom Prince is out in Orchard Park. On our Facebook page, he's got the OP Sox taking on Team Deb. And the Sox lead 1-0 there. I believe they are in the bottom of the second, so they're moving around just as well as we are here. It was a rough start for us, Timmy. We didn't have power, so the Wolfe mobile back there is supplying the power for this broadcast. And when I left the house, I had about 2/3 of a tank, so it better not go much further than that.
I always have faith that it's going to come together, and you're the maestro of figuring out these technical difficulties, and quick work there with not a lot of time. So
we're going to be sending a bill to the diesel for this last minute ditch effort to get power. It's either that or pack up and go home. So I had a case of beer over here I couldn't let go to waste, Timmy.
There you go. Jeremy Kowalski was hit by a pitch in the left wrist, and he's now at first base, and up to bat is Ricardo Folks. So we've got a hit by pitch and a walk so far for Chris Quitzer, and that's really the only knock on him is a little bit of his wild delivery, but other than that, definitely keeping the batters off balance. But yeah, that pregame setup was very impressive with a few minor hiccups. It was great to see you be able to get us up and running right around first pitch. So back to WNY Athletics on YouTube, we've got Ricardo Folks striking out to end the inning. As it stands after the second, it's 3-0 Diesel with Chris Quitzer putting together a fine performance on the mound.
We will take another short break after a word from one of our sponsors. You're watching WNYathletics.com, Muny Baseball.
We didn't get here by accident. It starts
Man,
with a
this
plan.
feels good to get back
a plan
out
to
here.
protect your future.
It really does.
To
Man.
invest.
Hey, Russ, I got something for you here.
It started with
Russ, you
Scroy
hear how I helped
Financial.
you?
Plan, protect, invest.
Russ, you
Scroy
want a cold one?
Financial.
We needed a
We're not-
plan.
I got
A plan to
Coors Light.
protect what matters most. By
After.
investing in our future. That all started with Scroy Financial.
7th inning stretch.
Plan, protect,
Well, let's make it a 5th inning
invest.
stretch. I don't know if they go
Scroy
5,
Financial.
7 or 9. Did you mention anything?
I put it down to 9.
All right, we'll have to pay attention. I think it is 7. Oh, we're back from commercial break here. You're back at Northtown Center in Amherst, New York, where it's opening day for Muny AAA baseball here in Western New York. WNYathletics.com on the broadcast. Timmy Morozek and Harry Doyle bringing you all the action. Russ Battaglia on camera today. Just a one-camera shot. Maybe later we'll add a second camera for your enjoyment, but probably not. Don't look for that because it probably won't happen. But got a little bit of a late start here today. We got the cold ones going, Timmy. We're relaxing here under the tent. Got a good view of this baseball game. Packed house here at Northtown. Look at that. There's a lot of people here.
Oh, you know, a good baseball game almost makes me feel like I'm at the beach. It's just utterly relaxing and really enjoying and just relishing the opportunity to watch some baseball, and pretty darn good baseball nonetheless. These are teams that have a lot of talent, whether they were high school all-stars, college phenoms, or just veterans that have been around the Western New York scene for a while. It's a very good mix of talent and ages.
Head coach of the Diesel at third corner spot, and that's Rob Learson, who played third base for many years for this Diesel club. I'm sure he'll get some at-bats in this during the season. Probably get some action in the field as well, but he's in the first base coach's box. There's a nice swing, and that's going to go out to deep center field. Giving chase to it is the center fielder, and he gets under it for the first out of the third inning.
And I am at loss right now on who is at bat number 14.
Ricardo Folks, that was,
Ricardo
I believe.
Folks.
No, excuse me, Isaiah Reyes.
Isaiah
Out in
Reyes.
center field, who made the grab.
Oh, okay. And number 14 was at bat, who flew out. Now up to bat right now is number 8, I believe.
Is that Matt Wutzerpack, we'll call him. John Zamba was 14, so that's got to be Matt.
Oh, okay.
Paulie does a great job of spelling these out on the scorecard, I'll tell you. Where's Game Changer when you need it? And there's a shot out to center fielder again, left center. That's going to fall in. And the D's will have another runner at first base here in the top of the third.
So Matt Weidelspack with a walk and a single so far today. Perfect at-bats.
I want to apologize to this young man's family. We cannot pronounce this kid's last name, maybe after another beer. Whitelishbach.
That
See?
sounds
It
good
works.
to me.
Whitelishbach.
That's right. Say it with authority.
Nick Jasinski will come in there, the DH. He takes a big swing when that's going to be fouled back. He's wearing 87 on the back of his jersey. That's 87. I saw Harry Skull from the Buffalo News here just a little while ago taking some photos. I don't know where he headed off to.
It's great to see the Western New York sports scene starting to come alive. On the way in, saw a lot of young girls playing softball, walking to the Diamonds, and this Northtown Center is a great complex for softball and baseball. In addition to the Northtown complex, the different fields of play for the Muny leagues will be West Vets Field in Tonawanda, St. Francis, McCarthy Field, and Sheridan. So there's going to be 5 games a week. The only days there will not be games are Tuesdays and Thursdays. And you can catch that action at Vets in Tonawanda, St. Francis, McCarthy, Sheridan, of course here at Northtown.
Tom Prince is out at St. Francis right now in Ethel Springs, New York. Usually does football games there today, but today Mr. Baseball is doing a baseball game, as you would expect. And Team Deb taking on the OP Sox. Tom's son, Jordan, is actually on the hill today for the Sox. That's going to go out to left field again. That is in play. Runner rounds third. Throw comes in. Runner is going to be up, and 87, Jasinski, stays at first. So an RBI for Jasinski gives the Diesel a 4-0 lead here, early top 3.
Make that 2 RBIs right now today for Matt Jasinski, who was able to have an RBI single in the first inning as well. So off to a great start. And Matt Weidelspack, prior to reaching home, did have a stolen base. So he was able to get to second, which helped him score that run there.
DeLeo pops to the second baseman for the second out here of the third inning. That'll bring up Jacob Victor.
You have to wonder, Frank, Matt Shopland, Sheppy as they've been calling him. I haven't heard the Sheppy as much from the bench, and right now he's looking for answers on the mound. Just not able to find that pitch that's going to keep off balance the Diesel team. Right now they just look too powerful, too well groomed of a team, even without having much live action. This Diesel team, I'm sure, was able to put together their own practices similar to the Outlaws, and like you said, the years of experience together is really showing right now.
Just takes time to settle in, especially for a younger team in which we have here in the Outlaws. And that is another single.
And that's
Or was
going to be
fielder's choice
it was
pass?
an error actually on number 4.
Okay, the shortstop.
Zach Denz had a little trouble handling that ball.
My vision's blocked,
I
unfortunately.
believe that's going to score another run there. So that brings in, I'm not sure if that scored a run or not. And the scoreboard at the University of Buffalo Field here, which is the former UB field, is
Not working too good today, is it?
not on operation, but I believe that was just not a run scored, but right there, looks like they're going to be adding one. Oh, no. Nice catch there. So
Yep. 1, 2, 3 there. Now that's the third out. So they retire the side.
And I feel like my stat sheet here is getting a little jumbled, so
Yours and mine.
forgive me if you.
We'll take a quick commercial break. We'll try to get things sorted out for you here. You are watching Muny AAA Baseball on the WNYathletics.com network.
WNYathletics.com is the premier high school sports
my
website in
numbers
Western New
sheets
York.
Don't mind me. I feel like I
Providing
got
the best
I got
sports
it like a
coverage
little
of
bit
Section 6 and
discombobulated.
Monsignor Martin Leagues.
So
Check out our page for daily game recaps and late-breaking sports news.
That last out was
Our
by Mark
online
DeLeo, was
scoreboards
it?
are updated in real time.
you know-
Never miss a goal or touchdown.
DeLeo
Or did he?
Visit
was the second out.
WNYathletics.com
It was Jacob
today,
Victor.
or follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't able to get the numbers in time. I didn't really want to miss too much action. That's okay. I'll start getting them as I see them.
Is it 4-0 here?
I've got it at 4-0. Yep.
We didn't get here by accident. It starts with a plan.
Break here.
A plan to protect your future, to invest in your future. It started with Scroy Financial. Plan, protect, invest. Scroy Financial.
We needed a plan to protect what matters most. By investing in our future, that all started with Scroy Financial. Plan, protect, invest. Scroy Financial.
Back in a second here, Timbo. Here we go. Bottom third here at the Northtown Center. Diesel leading 4-0.
At the bat is Isaiah Reyes.
Center fielder. He tries to get into one, and that's going to foul back for strike one.
And Chris Quaitzer, really the story of the day so far. Really commanding the mound. Although we're only into the fourth inning, he's just been really dominant through three. I shouldn't say only. That's almost midway now. In a lot of baseball circles, they would be taking a pitcher out, putting in a replacement, and trying to shore up the arm. But Quaitzer deservedly should be getting the call at least for this inning and foreseeable future.
Off the end of the bat, but that's going to get into right field. The Outlaws. Isaiah Reyes reaches first base.
And that's the first hit given up by Chris Quaitzer. He had a hitter that was hit by a pitch, Jeremy Kowalski, last inning. First inning, he walked Zach Duns, so give them a lot of credit. I'm sorry, we're in the third inning, so I mentioned through 2.5 innings right now. Quaitzer going into the third right now.
Brings up Steve Muny, the catcher, number 18. They've got a runner at first, trailing the Diesel 4-0.
Here's an opportunity. If they can get on the board here, Frank, they have a real chance to build some momentum, and you never know, one inning could turn this whole game around for the Outlaws.
Certainly don't need 4 runs here, but it would be nice to get a start.
And right now, Quaitzer in his first bit of challenge, I guess you could say. No outs, run around first, so a little bit of heat on the pitcher at this point in the game.
That one goes to the cage, but still swung on and missed.
Quaitzer doing a really nice job today of changing speeds, and his ball movement has been very versatile. Some in the dirt, but nonetheless keeping hitters at bay, and only one hit given up on the day.
Quaitzer gets the signal, likes the sign. Back to first.
Keeps him honest, and Ricardo Folks with a deep slide into first base.
Can't say enough about the job our cameraman Russ Pataglia is doing today. That was low in the dirt for ball 2.
And Russ definitely in the driver's seat as a main man camera work for Western New York Athletics, continuing to do a fantastic job in this summer of 2020.
It's the summer of all summers, I'll tell you. We've never seen anything like this, Timmy.
No, it's caused a lot of depression at times for people, and disruption in everybody's routine. Nobody's been void of being affected from this, and I think we all have had our moments, and getting out to a game today is a great respite from the monotony of COVID.
And that was a tough play there.
Great fielding by the center fielder to get a stop on that ball and keeps the runners honest.
Yep, and that was a double play there.
Absolutely. So
And that
just
was
like
just the Outlaws just taking a bit of a gamble there, Tim. And, it is the bottom of the third here. You're down 4-0, and it's an aggressive base runner, and that haunts them there. But at the same time, you got to take some chances. It's the first game of the year. You got a long way to go. You know the Diesel's a good team, but you still got to keep them honest, too, at the same time, Tim.
That's right.
And you got to take chances.
Center fielder for the Diesel made a tremendous play. He had to really put the Jets on to get that ball. So all the credit to the center fielder in getting the opportunity to create that double play. And just like that, Chris Queitzer back in the driver's seat on the mound. Some real nice heat there, giving Zach Denz fits. Denz walked at his first at-bat, and he'd certainly like to get back to that first base or better.
Couldn't ask for better weather here today. I mean, that sun's beating down right on all of us, and we got this tent in front of us, which is nice, but these players got to be – they love it. I mean, it could be a windstorm, it could be a torrential downpour, and these guys would just love to get out there and start playing. So they're not going to complain about this weather one bit. It is a beautiful night out here at the Northtown Center.
And nice job by the Northtown field crew. The field looks tremendous. Couple patches in the infield to be expected when you can't get all the work done, but all things considered, good looking field here, and former home of the UB Bulls. Unfortunately, they had to cut their program short a few years ago, as did a few of their other sports. Just kind of the nature of the beast with the cost of college sports to run an athletic program, or team I should say, is quite a venture. And I think it'll be interesting to see how that evolves, as this pandemic has certainly changed things for a lot of the colleges, and question whether or not some of them will get off the ground at their start time, for example, college football.
There's a weak ground ball down the third base line, and it's going to go foul.
Little side note for you, I had a friend of mine, he had a chance to talk to Coach Jim Weitzel for UB the other day, and Weitzel was saying how he wouldn't mind starting the season in January and having it go till May if need be. And, I don't know whether or not you'll see different teams, or sports I should say, restructure their schedules, whether that's the starts of their seasons or shortened seasons, but I'm sure we'll see some changes in the upcoming year or two.
Queitzer deals one down and in the dirt there.
So Denz was out, and right now we got Jordan Kowalski up to bat. I believe that's Kowalski. I could be wrong. Nope, that's still Denz. Denz having a very good at bat, keeping Chris Queitzer honest right now.
League made up of mostly collegiate players. See some high schoolers sprinkled in there as Denz takes ball 4. bring up. Now Jordan Kowalski will come to bat, the second baseman.
Got a chance to talk with the Outlaws manager before the game, and he did mention, though, like, you do see some guys that are in their 30s, late 30s even, and it's pretty cool to see that age range and the opportunity for these guys to mix together and
continue baseball careers. They had a pitcher here not too long ago. I don't recall his name. Who was in his 50s, still dealing.
I grew up in Lockport, Frank, and you mentioned some softball. Back in the day, we had a tremendous pitcher by the name of DiNardo. I believe his first name was Danny DiNardo or John DiNardo. I can't remember the first name, but we had a tremendous fast pitch league in Lockport, and you get to watch those guys at night, and just they were dealing. And unfortunately, that league, I believe, doesn't come through the Lockport town as much as it used to, but some really good athletes in that fast pitch softball.
Pass ball leads to Dens taking off to second base, so the Outlaws now have a runner at second base. No outs here. Bottom 3 or bottom 4? I don't even know where we are.
This is bottom of third, and
bottom of 3.
Jordan Kowalski singled out his last at bat. He's got a chance to put the ball in play and get their first run of the game. But takes a good cut at the ball and just misses. Kowalski has a nice looking swing, very even tempered.
Shofflin blew that by him, though. Another one, breaking ball.
And
that is good for...
Goes down swinging.
Strike 3. That'll end the inning there. We'll take another quick commercial break. We'll be back in just a moment. You're watching WNYathletics.com presentation of Muny AAA Baseball.
We didn't get here by accident.
Ready?
It starts with a plan to protect your future.
Russ, do they go
to
7 or
invest
9, do you know?
in your future. It started with Scroy Financial. Plan, protect, invest.
Yeah.
Scroy Financial.
Question for you.
We needed a
You guys go 9
plan.
innings?
A plan to protect what matters most. By investing in our future. That all started with Scroy Financial.
Cheers, Russ.
Plan, protect, invest.
Man,
Scroy
Russ gets a
Financial.
good tan. Guy looks like Pablo Escobar.
Said that I was just outside a lot.
I covered good.
Where were you anyway? Where were you exactly? OBX?
The Outer Banks, yeah. We were in Corolla.
Was it crowded? Was it?
Beaches were.
Wow.
Most people stayed in the distance.
My cousin Brian was there the week before you. And he said it was dead.
Depends on where you're at. Usually we stay in Avon, but this year we stayed a little bit closer up. I think it was a little more commercial than where we usually stay.
Ah.
So that could be why it was a little more.
WNYathletics.com is the premier high school sports
You book it for next
website
year already?
in Western New York, providing the best sports
I did
coverage
lose a
of
fish.
Section 6 and Monsignor
one of mine.
Martin leagues. Check out our page for daily game recaps and late-breaking
No.
sports news. Our online
I forgot what it was.
scoreboards are updated in real time. Never miss a goal or touchdown.
Back to Northtown Center. Top 4 action here. Diesel with a 4-0 lead on the Outlaws. Threatening last inning, but unable to get it done. So Diesel.
Looks like Matt Shefflin's still on the mound. I believe that's Shefflin, number 15.
We got a couple guys coming in to warm up right now in front of us here.
You know, Shefflin hasn't had
Joe Kwasniewski is heading to the bullpen.
a terrible day, but you know the
drop.
fact is the fact is they were able to catch. Shefflin hasn't had a terrible day, but they were able to catch that knuckler of his at times and really been the difference. You know, we noticed. You mentioned being a Red Sox follower at times, along with the Yankees, but Wakefield for the Red Sox, it was either hot or cold.
You know, I went to see the Sox in Toronto a number of times at the Sky Dome, and every time I did, for some reason, the one game I got would be a Wakefield game. And 9 out of 10 times, and I probably saw him 10 times. Toronto, 9 out of 10 times he got shellacked.
Well, Well, in that dome, I think, they could pick up the ball maybe a little better. I'm not sure what it is, but I actually got to see Wakefield when he was with the Bisons. I believe he threw a 1 or 2 hitter. The only no-hitter in the history for the Bisons was Bartolo Colon, but Wakefield came close that day I went, and he had a good career with the Bisons.
Fantastic career.
Still have his bobblehead. So right there, Tom Lacano goes down swinging, and up to bat is Matt Grace.
What do we got to do to get Wakefield in the Bison's Hall of Fame? Is he there yet? You would know.
I would think he has to be.
He's got to be, right?
A funny story. My brother lives in Melbourne, near Melbourne, Florida, where Wakefield lives, and I saw Wakefield on a pier one day with his wife taking family pictures, and I didn't really want to bother him too much. I was fishing, and I said, "Hey, Tim," and we're just just to see if he would respond, and he wanted no part of it. He didn't look like he even wanted to take the family picture, but my nephew plays ball out in Central Florida there, and he said Tim Wakefield does a lot of help with the youth leagues and still stays active with baseball. But good question, whether or not he is in the Hall for Buffalo Bisons. If not, I'm sure soon to be. So Matt Grace at the bat. Grace holding down tough, following that back behind the backstop. I think this breeze today has really helped. Doesn't seem as windy right now, or breezy I should say, but started at about 15 miles an hour. It seems to have calmed somewhat, but still enough to cool you down somewhat. And I'm sure these are days where you better make sure that air conditioning is working, because 92 could make a house 100 easily. The first week of the season, it was 90 and my air conditioning wasn't working, and I know the feeling, but today, like you said, it doesn't matter what kind of temperature, what kind of weather, these players are just happy to be back on the diamond. And right there, Matt Grace strikes out.
Quaitzer with his second strikeout of the inning here. I'll bring up Ryan Baruti, who got on last inning. Last time he was up, excuse me. Second inning was his last at bat.
So they are
Actually,
warming
excuse me, that's Mike Wagner that's up to bat now. My bad.
up. Oh, so that was my fault too with the strikeout there.
Here's Wagner, gets into one, sends it out to right field, and that'll do it for the inning. So the Diesel unable to pick up any hits or runs in that inning. No runners stranded. They will take a 4-0 lead into the bottom of the fourth here.
Wagner 1 for 3 on the day. And good inning for Matt Schafflin.
His father is the coach of the St. Mary's Lancers.
Excellent. And St. Mary's, how was their team in the years past?
Well, they had won their first Georgetown Cup in, I want to say, 30 years. Wagner's his coach's first Georgetown Cup for sure. And he's been there for a number of years, and he's always had good teams. But that team he had in 2019 was very special. In fact, one of their players, Trent Rumley, I saw just signed, I believe, with Canisius this past week.
Excellent.
And he was a strong member of that team.
I believe Trent Rumley was also on the basketball team for the St. Mary's Lancers. He was
just a great all-around athlete, yeah.
Frank, great to see there's some fans in the stands as well today.
It is. Look at it. You look around the field, and people have been waiting to get out, enjoy a game of baseball here. And
really good crowd, actually, now that I look at it, not just behind the backstop on the bleachers, but a lot of fans brought their lawn chairs and their coolers. And I'm sure there's a couple cold ones going down the throats on a nice hot day like today. Stay hydrated, folks.
Can't say I'd blame a single one of them. Of course, the Muny AAA Baseball League is sponsored by New Era. Get your hats at New Era. Get your... Whoa, man, and our camera guy just caught one. Oh, man. We're going to send that bill to the Diesel if, they break anything. Man, oh, man. Russ has been dodging bullets all afternoon.
So as great as Chris Queitzer was pitching, they're going to make a pitching change, it looks like. Number 10 is now taking the mound
And that could be
for the Diesel.
That could be the Diesel wanting to take a look at a few other arms here. I mean, it's
Sure.
It's a short, long season, Tim. It's a short, long season.
And you know what? Queitzer got out of that 4th inning fine, so I believe we're into the 5th now. Or I'm sorry, top of the 4th, or bottom of the 4th, rather. I'll get it. I'll be okay. Preseason form here.
Did that bring up another DeLeo? Is that a DeLeo on the hill there? Couldn't really catch his name there. And, we didn't get a great look at the roster before the game came in at 4:30. And he gives up the first hit of the afternoon.
So Richard Miller with a nice opening at bat to start the bottom of the 4th. Miller 1 for 2 on the day now. Kind of a check swing that made its way about mid outfield between left and center. Now up to bat is Tom Anderson. Tom struck out his first at bat, but certainly a big force at the plate and takes a very compact swing from our perspective here just beyond first baseline. Looks like Tom Anderson, you wouldn't want to see him in a dark alley. So right now he has an opportunity to advance the runner. See if he can wreak havoc now with this new pitcher for the Diesel.
And there's definitely a new center fielder for the Diesel, as B.J. Stack was a longtime center fielder for this baseball club. That is now number 18, Jacob Victor, assuming that position. I don't know if B.J. Stack is not feeling well today. Going to miss some time, miss the start of the season. I believe I see him in the dugout. You wouldn't miss a Diesel game.
It does look like a DeLeo on the mound by reading
I believe
the
that
numbers.
is DeLeo.
Would that be Mark DeLeo, or is there another DeLeo on the team?
It's always a guessing game.
We'll just say it DeLeo, but so far DeLeo is having a run for his money.
I know it's not Lou DeLeo. I know it's not Alfonso DeLeo.
So Frank, a lot of these Buffalo Muni League players, do they reside then pretty much mostly North and South Town?
I gotta believe so. There's a good spread out there, and that's going to be DeLeo's first strikeout of the day.
And DeLeo now 1 out.
Settling in here
Still
after giving
with
up
a runner on first. Tom Anderson, 2 strikeouts so far. Now up is Karen Moore, who struck out his first at bat.
Miller led off with a single into left field.
I'm saying Karen, but I'm guessing it's likely Kevin Moore. But if it is Karen, I apologize either way.
I believe it's Kevin.
Kevin Moore.
We can go K Moore. Won't get in any trouble.
Moore,
There's a shot out to center, and that's going to drop, and that's going to move a runner down to third base now. Ball comes into the infield. And the Outlaws now have first and third. That is their first runner on third base in this game, Mr. Mrozek.
And right like that pitching change could be playing a factor with Diesel now in jeopardy of giving up that shutout. And the Outlaws with a live opportunity themselves to get back into this game. 4 runs is certainly not insurmountable.
And there's another punch to short, to second, and that will put the Outlaws out for the inning, as they were threatening with first and third, but the Diesel get her done with some great infielding work there by the shortstop. Ends the threat, and they will head to the top of the 5th with that 4-0 lead. You're watching baseball on WNYathletics.com YouTube page. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back after a word from one of our sponsors.
WNYathletics.com
See, now
is
you're
the
friends with Kevin
premier high school
Sylvester,
sports
Yeah.
He
website
got the
in
job at
Western New
Channel 2,
York.
is it, or-
Did he get it
Providing the
officially?
best
I don't know, I
sports
saw him
coverage
doing
of
the news.
Section
I don't
6
think
and
he's doing it
Monsignor
full time. I don't
Martin
think
Oh,
he
he's
wants
just helping out
Check
with
out
Yeah, I
our
think he just
page
wants
for
to be, like, on
daily
call, like,
game
you need me and I'm
recaps
I
available.
saw him
breaking
doing the
sports news.
one night, and I'm like, oh,
Our
cool.
online
He likes doing
scoreboards
his
are
golf, you know, he
updated
doesn't want to
in
give the
real
golf up.
time. Never miss a goal or touchdown.
He's a good golfer.
Visit
from what I've heard.
WNYathletics.com
Have you been out
today or
this year?
follow
No,
us on
I don't think
Twitter,
he'll get out.
like us on Facebook, and
Not,
subscribe to our
not in the cards
YouTube.
for you, huh?
We didn't
Not a
get here
golfer.
by
I
accident.
mean, I'll get out. I'll get out.
It's
Don't get me
It's
wrong.
been
I'll
the
get out.
saving grace for me,
A
like
plan
just
to
to be able to
protect
get
your
out.
future.
Yeah.
To
I
invest
live right
in
next
your
to
future.
Grover,
It
Cleveland.
started
Oh.
with
I play
Scroy
there all the
Financial.
time. My friend
Plan,
works there, so
protect,
Okay.
invest.
and then I've been able
Scroy
to go to a
Financial.
bunch of different courses.
We
locally.
needed a plan.
I used to play Grover
A
every
plan to
Saturday.
protect what
Yeah,
matters
it's nice.
most.
You know what? Not a bad
By
trip.
The Grover
investing in
12, the
our
Grover
future.
12 they call it?
That
The Grover
all
11.
started
You go
Grover
to
11,
and
yeah.
then you go
Financial.
into the parking lot.
parking
Plan,
Yeah.
protect, invest.
They had an all
Scroy
irons
Financial.
tournament, so you couldn't use any woods.
Oh.
I shot my best round.
Boy, hang on. I just got effed up there. Back at the Northtown Center. Muny AAA baseball action. Russ Desiderio on camera. Timmy Morozic on color. Harry Doyle giving you the action here.
And
Yes. That's a fly ball out to shallow right on Chase. Gets underneath it for the first out.
Jeremy Kowalski got his work cut out for him today. They're keeping him busy there in right field.
He's been all over the place this afternoon.
You know, he started with the one error, but other than that, he's really been solid today in right field. And Matt Sheplin still on the mound, holding it down for the Outlaws.
God bless him. There's nobody warming up in the bullpen. DeMartin just flew out to right field there.
So we're in the top of the fifth. The score is 4-0 Diesel.
This is where things get real interesting, Timmy. That's going to be too high for a ball one. John Ziamba is your batter. Playing third base today.
First at bat, single to left, and was singled out.
There's a hard grounder to second.
Nicely
There to
done.
make the play.
Zamba now 1 for 3 on the day.
Jordan Kowalski was there.
Up to bat now is Matt Weidelspak. Walk and a single. Also a stolen base today for Weidelspak.
We still can't get this name. We're not 100% clear on this name. We didn't get a pronunciation. There's a rip to the shortstop there. Takes his time, delivered a first, and a nice stretch. And a third out there for the Outlaws, and that might change some of their luck. A play like that could go a long way. Timmy trailing 4-0 to the Diesel here after 5 innings.
And it's a 1-2-3 inning, the first of the day for the Outlaws, and tremendous fielding in that inning for the Outlaws, giving them that opportunity to get out unscathed. And that's 2 innings in a row that they have not given up a run, so
Starting somewhere.
could be seeing some real improvement and real progress. Obviously a young season so far with the first game of the year, but this Outlaw team looks like a team that could gel as the season goes on, and especially if Matt Sheplin can get that knuckler working. Look out, this team could be a real threat down the stretch.
I got enough here for you to have at least one more, Timbo.
Well, I'm going to have to harken back to my younger days and do quick work on this. Well, there's an old saying, we'll work for beer, and I'll work for baseball. My neighbor was a musician growing up, and his name of his band was Free Beer. So if they had a concert, they figured they were going to get a little better attendance.
You know, that's not a bad idea. BJ Stack could be checking into first base.
Another new pitcher here
Have to wait and
for
see.
the Diesel. This will be number 6. So like you mentioned, Paul Wolfe with the luxury right now with a 4-0 lead to get a look at a few of the young arms, or a few of the arms I should say, whether they're young or not, to be determined. But nonetheless, Paul Wolfe with a nice opportunity, making the most and taking advantage of the 4-0 lead, now looking at his third pitcher of the day.
No idea who this is as he's not on the roster.
And there's no name on the back of the jersey, so could be a call-up from the...
This early in the year, man, Paul Wolfe is really pulling out all the stops here.
Now, Frank, I know you mentioned the name had been changed from Diesel. How long has Paul Wolfe been coaching in the AAA Muny League for, would you know?
I would say for the better part of a decade. I don't know if they were at one time called Libros, possibly. They were, he took this team over from the late, great Ray Queso, who had a Sheridan Park Diamond 1 has been named after Mr. Queso. Either it's Sheridan 1 or Sheridan 2. I don't know if it's Sheridan 1 or Sheridan 2. Regardless, down at Tonawanda, Ray Queso has a jersey or a diamond named after him, and rightfully so. That's B.J. Stack checking into the game at first base for the Diesel. We have no idea who is on the pitcher's mound, as we did not get that name on the roster prior to this broadcast, so we'll have to call him Humpty Dumpty. I have no idea what to call this guy. Tell me, what should we call this guy?
Well, I'm gonna
Could be Randy Johnson for all we know.
He looks like a little bit of a Billy Wagner out there.
He does look like Billy. We're going to call him Billy Wagner.
Wagner was one of the best relievers, and he made quick work, and he's very compact and kind of reminds me of him with the delivery. So up to bat right now is Isaiah Reyes. Reyes singled, and he is one for what I understand so far.
Could that be Kevin Hughes? I don't see his name on there anywhere. It can't be Kevin Hughes. Reyes gets into one. He sends it out to left field, gets over his head, and he's on his way to second. Rounding 2 for 3. It's at the wall. Trouble with it. Reyes could be moving home. No, they hold him up there. It finally gets into the cutoff man. But Reyes gets the Outlaws with a leadoff triple there. That was a hard-hit ball.
And, if it wasn't for the heat and maybe the young man just trying to take it, they could have possibly pressed him onto home for the inside the park. But wise choice there by Coach Gentile and Choplin to hold him down and, give the young man the opportunity not to die of heat exhaustion.
A lot of speed there in that individual.
Tremendous speed and just a nice rip past the left fielder.
So Billy Wagner kicks in, delivers.
Wagner with some high cheese.
Now he's got a guy on third to worry about. This is the second time the Outlaws have had a runner on third base, but this is the first time they've run a runner on third with less than 2 outs.
So they're looking at their best opportunity of the game. Steve Muny, pop fly to the right fielder.
And we're going to have a runner tag. Reyes getting home. Throw in from left field was in time. It wasn't a great throw. Catcher couldn't handle it, but the throw was there in time. That was a throw coming in from Kaboot.
That was a lineup change. So number 2, I'm not sure who that was, but number 2 for the Outlaws, fly to right, and that was a sacrifice fly for the first run of the game for the Outlaws.
4-1 baseball game here. Bottom 5?
Bottom of the 5th.
All right, I'm paying attention.
Not bad for managing the tech side and keeping score. So Wagner right now with 1 out and also no runners on base.
Not a 1.
Now this at bat is this. This is Steve Muny now. I believe they made a lineup change where they moved Reyes up to the 8th spot. Substituted Ricardo Falks. I think there was a switch there. Well, Falks was the last man at bat there.
We had a couple of Outlaws pass us coming from the bullpen, so you could see a pitching change here for the Outlaws when we begin the 6th inning. I saw Joe Kwasniewski warming up in the pen.
And if so, not a bad way to end his outing for Matt Choplin with 2 scoreless innings to finish his work if he is done indeed today.
Not at all.
So there goes Steve Muny.
Muny goes down swinging.
0 for 2 on the day. Up to bat now again will be Zach Dens. 2 walks for Dens.
He's got a lot of speed, too. Could be trouble if he can get on the bag. The shortstop. What if this is an East Aurora kid?
Back to Billy Wagner, his first couple at batters he faced, especially the first batter, looked a little bit quick with his delivery, and he certainly looks to be settled down now, showing a little better timing and rhythm at the mound, and looking like a solid pitcher for the Diesel. So far the Diesel have shown a few good arms that they have to work with in this young 2020 season. And Zach Dens, the leadoff hitter, you mentioned Frank, with a lot of speed, and had an opportunity. He did get to second or third base, I can't recall, but had an opportunity to be in scoring position. They couldn't capitalize, and now he's fighting off the pitch, just fouled behind the backstop.
Bases are empty for Dens. One down here. They are trailing the Diesel 4-1, bottom 5. Third pitcher now on the mound for the Diesel.
Interesting to see the first baseman for Diesel, Stack, number 23, has the mask on. Not on, but he has it dropped down to the chin area. So taking extra precaution, and I think with first base and the communication that they have to have with the runners, probably not a bad idea.
You got him to go there for the third out.
And that's the first out, not reaching base for Zach Dens. So nice job by Billy Wagner.
They did get
don't know his name.
They did get a run across. I thought that was the second out, so it tells you how much I'm paying attention here. I'm going to get fired. But anyways, I believe we have a new pitcher on the mound, and we do, for the Outlaws. Joe Kwasniewski is now on the hill, taking over for Mr. Schauflin after a nice 5 innings. Did give up 4, with 2 of them unearned.
Now, Frank, I'm Polish, and I would assume Kwasniewski's Polish. I have to make an admission here. I'm spelling his name, and as I'm spelling it Quizniewski, Kwasniewski, and I'm just having a Polish moment, I guess. But nonetheless, Joe Kwasniewski will get an opportunity here into the 6th inning.
And he's going to have a tough assignment, and Nick Jasinski is his first batter, who I believe is 2 for 2 with a couple of RBIs.
2 RBIs and 2 singles. Number 87 having a nice day, counting for 2 of the 4 runs.
They have a new fence out here in the outfield at Amherst, and I don't recall the measurements, but I want to say it's a good 260 down that left or right field foul line, and a good 315 to center, maybe 290, but I thought it was 315. Timmy, I don't have the measurements here. Scoreboard's not working.
I'd say that looks about right. It could be maybe even a little bit deeper, unless they move the fence in, which it does look like you said. You know, they put an extra barrier up there, and field looks
social
good.
Distance the home run balls.
That's it. I'll never forget. I went to a Detroit Tigers game. You mentioned being some of your first memories of baseball, and I had to ask you, did you get to see the white whale then? That was the famed wall there, was it called? The white whale?
You know it.
I always loved the Tigers teams. They had character, and that stadium definitely seemed like an intimate stadium to watch on television, and I know they may not have filled it as much as they'd like to, but they had some colorful teams over the years.
Kwasniewski gets Jasinski to ground out.
Up to bat now is Mark DeLeo.
We'll have to see here if the Outlaws could keep them to 4 runs and kind of chip away slowly at that lead. They trailed 4-0 heading into the 5th. We are now top 6.
DeLeo 0 for 2 on the day, looking for his first hit. That ball in the dirt by Kwasniewski, and it may have hit. Looks like it hit him. So DeLeo will reach base by hit by pitch.
Bringing up the center fielder Jacob Victor. Unless there's been a change there. I see a number 5 coming to the plate, so maybe we have another change for the Diesel. Oh. Hello? That Tommy Prince was calling me.
Kwasniewski moving the ball well. Got himself in a bit of a jam with a runner on first. 1 out. And looking pretty good so far in his debut for 2020.
Number 5, according to this lineup card I hear, is Mark DeLeo.
So DeLeo and DeLeo back to back.
He gets into one. He's going to send it out to shortstop. They had a little miscommunication with the second baseman. And we now have first and third. Second and third now is a center fielder misplayed that as well. So the Diesel have second and third with 1 down here. Top 6. As DeLeo does what he needs to do.
So DeLeo making the most of his opportunity at the bat as he came in for Jacob Victor. Runners on second and third, 1 out. Tom Lacogno at the bat. Looks like there may be switch too, and Lacogno may be out now.
I see a 28.
28 now at the
jersey.
bat.
Let's see if we can't pull
So
that up here.
Paul Wolfe giving some of his bench an opportunity to get action into the 6th inning.
If that's number 28,
And it does look like 28.
that's, according to this, it's Joe DeLeo.
Well, it's a family affair. The DeLeos are making their mark on this game
They are.
and having a good outing at that. So brother Mark is at third, and looks like another DeLeo you mentioned at second. So could there be 3 DeLeos on this team, Frank?
Anything's possible. Anything's possible.
Unless number 5 could be a different. As we mentioned, we didn't get the full lineup cards, so forgive us for not having some of the detail, but just great to be with you here on WNY Athletics. Russ Battaglia at the videography today.
Yep.
Doing a great job with the camera work, as always. I'm Tim Morozak, and I'm working with Frank Wolfe, and you're watching WNY Athletics, courtesy of YouTube, here at Northtown Center.
We got bumped off Facebook by Tommy Prince, who's carrying the OP Sox versus Team Deb game. That's at 1-1 there at bottom 4, according to the last message I got.
So some good baseball around Western New York today, and the fans are getting treated to a great late afternoon, early evening of baseball here at Northtown.
And there are fans all along the right field fence and all along the left field fence. I'm going to say there's a good 45, 50 people watching this game, and then a number of people behind the dugout, either behind the catcher there, a good dozen or more.
So up to bat now is number 9. That's Tom Lacogno. We have bases.
Max Schmarter wears 28. He's at first base. So the Diesel have bases loaded. I believe there's 1 down, and he gets into one coming out to right field, on the run, and that's fair. That's in play. Runners moving. We got 2 in now. They hold Schmarter up at third, so 2 runs come in. Diesel add 2 runs to their tally there, now leading the Outlaws 6-1 here on the top of the 6th.
So that was a 2 RBI double there for Tom Lacogno. That was his first hit of the game as well, I believe. Either 1 or 2 hits on the day for Lacogno, but nonetheless, a couple RBIs with a huge at-bat.
Man, Timmy, that must have just landed fair because it looked like it was going out of bounds.
Yeah, I had a great eye from my perspective. It was about less than a foot from the foul line.
He got there. And that brings 2 runs home for the Diesel.
And as we mentioned about the fans sitting along the sides here, We also have fans that are making their way to the other diamonds, and I think everybody's just really excited to see baseball. And it's one of the summer rites of passage, and definitely a sense of normalcy to be back at the baseball diamond today. Nicely hit ball. That would be Ryan Baruti, I believe.
They're going to bring another run in.
Or excuse me, that would be.
That got through. Was that an error on the second baseman?
Looks like Cabot.
Kaboot.
Kaboot with a RBI single. That makes it 3 runs on this inning and makes the score 7-1.
Hey! We almost got pegged.
And there's a strongly hit ball to right field again. And we're going to bring in another runner. Wagner with a RBI there. Mike Wagner having a nice game.
The bullpen is right behind us, Timmy, and
had a couple close calls. Russ Battaglia with a close call.
The guy warming up almost took me.
Now Frank, that was certainly one to get the heart rate going.
Yep.
So Joe Kwasniewski is at the mound with a little bit of a meeting, rightfully so. He's been hit frequent in his
getting hazard pay today.
Short day on the mound so far, but they're going to keep him in, and he's going to battle through this inning, hopefully. So Kwasniewski had it first out. First at bat was an out, and since that time has had some troubles. Up to bat now would be Neil D. Martin. He flied out to right in his first innings and grounded out second at bat.
Bases loaded for DeMartin here. One down, Timbo.
One down from what I can
muster here.
What I can say fairly confidently.
I'm trying to find out the name of the guy that's warming up behind us that almost hit us.
See if he has insurance.
And number 3 is not on the list, but there's a guy named Bryce Little without a jersey. That could be him. People ask him, here's a pop fly into the infield.
And that's a pop fly that's been caught by the shortstop. Nice play by the defense for the Outlaws. 2 down.
I'm going to bring up John Ziamba, the number 3 hitter.
So rumor has it that when the baseball starts in the Major League, they're going to be putting some cardboard cutouts in the stands. And I'm not sure if they've done that in Korea or not. I know some people said they were thinking about it. I have not been able to catch too much action, but the little bit I did see, I wasn't able to make out whether or not they had a cardboard cutout in the fans.
The last time I heard they used cardboard fans was at the movie The Natural. Who's that going in, number 3?
Oh, I'm not going in. I was just throwing a poke.
Okay. Thank you.
So John Dzamba at the bat right now. First at bat, single to left, and he's 1 for 3. You mentioned those cardboard cutouts for The Natural. So, as you know, I do some sports memorabilia.
Yes.
And at various card shows around Western New York, you'll see those cardboard cutouts for sale on occasion.
Nice.
And it's a very cool piece of history to have in your man cave or basement, whatever you want to call it. But just a cool thing to have. And they usually go for anywhere, I'd say, for like $30 to $50 each. Some of them are more than one person, so some of them have like 2 people together. Some will just be one. Just depends on how they sliced them.
Tell you what, right now, I'm in the sports memorabilia myself, and I've got I'm bidding on a signed baseball by Mickey Mantle as we speak.
Excellent. And anytime you're buying signed balls, make sure to have them certified by a reputable company such as PSA, JSA.
There's a ball that gets through to center field. 2 runs will come around. These will now have first and third. That was Jamba getting the job done for the Diesel as they continue to tack on runs here in the
6th inning. It's a
late rounds of this
inning
game
here, and it's a 6-run inning in the 6th so far. I know you'd like to get Kwasniewski some work, but at some point you may have to pull the plug if he can't get this next batter, perhaps.
And he's got a big assignment here in Jasinski, who he did get to fly out last time up, I believe.
Yeah, Jasinski was
ground out, maybe.
Yep, he was grounded out, I believe, and prior to that, though, he had two RBI singles. So
first and third, he'll line one out to the first base side. They'll go out of play.
And if that previous at bat wasn't, if they didn't make a substitute, that would have been Matt Weidelspack with another big hit for the Diesel, who's had a tremendous day.
And he's going to have another little single blooper into right field there. And they'll tag him out at third. That should end the inning, but a run will score.
Oh, maybe that was only
What's
2
going on
outs.
I thought that was 2. Should have been the third out there.
Yeah, I think they're
They're
maybe, you know what, he was safe at third.
He was safe at third.
Safe
How
at
in the
third.
world was he safe?
And they now have 7 runs in this inning, making the score 11-1. No mercy rule here at the Muny League.
No, that should bring up Mark DeLeo. Trying to get a confirmation on that. These new jerseys this year for the Diesel, they're usually like a purple or orange, something that stands out, but they're just like a basic white jersey with some purple and orange.
I gotta say, I like them right away. You talked about the natural earlier. They kind of remind me of that color, just that plain white, and you know, I just like the. It's got a pure look to it. So
you know, they remind me of, believe it or not, they remind me of the Durham Bulls.
Durham Bulls, excellent. So another single.
Another single brings in a run.
Scored.
And there is nobody warming up right now for the Outlaws.
So Nick Jasinski, I believe that's 4 RBIs today for Nick Jasinski with a tremendous day. And that would be the 8th run of the 6th inning. And now we're going to have another meeting of the minds at the mound that's long overdue, in my opinion. But
Jimmy, they're asking you to go to the bullpen.
You know, my brother used to know how to do the knuckler, and if I had it in me, you know, you talk about guys being able to pitch into their longer years or play, and even in these Muny leagues, you mentioned there was a 50-year-old one time, and when you have a pitch that doesn't put too much strain on your arm, it gives you longevity. I think there may be 1 or 2 pitchers now in the major leagues that throw the knuckler, but we saw Matt Shufflin. It was a real thrill to see him throw that ball today, and not with the success he would have liked early on, but he really settled in. And you know, if he wasn't such a team player, I think that he would have elected to stay in the game longer. But you know, right now I think for the Outlaws, it's more about just getting that experience, getting some different hands on deck, and different looks on the mound. So regardless of the outcome today, the Outlaws have had an opportunity to get a better sense of what they have, especially on this mound.
We're going to take a little break as they bring in a new pitcher. Bryce Little, I believe, is the pitcher in. We'll take a word from our sponsor.
We didn't get here by accident. It starts with a plan to protect your future, to invest in your future. It started with Scroy Financial. Plan, protect, invest. Scroy Financial.
We needed a plan to protect what matters most.
Ugly inning for these guys.
By investing in our future. That all started with
They got some
Scroy
big
Financial.
kids on that team, man.
Plan,
Both
protect,
teams have some big
invest.
kids.
Scroy Financial.
Still the top of the 6th.
8 runs so far this inning. Russ, did you get one of those bed and breakfasts at all, or?
No, we rent a house.
Nice. number 3 will be at the mound now for the Outlaws. And I believe he is one of the victims of who almost took out my partner Frank Wolfe while he was in the practice cage. So
I've forgiven him.
let's hope he's settled down since that moment. Keeping the runner honest at second base. Try to get a name for you here on number 3.
I want to say it's this Bryce Little guy. We're going to call him Bryce Little.
Bryce Little. Hoping to deliver big with 1 out to go in the top of the 6th. And what has been just a disastrous inning for the Outlaws.
Been long.
And you mentioned the Diesel and how they've had some amazing success here in the last few years throughout Western New York and beyond. And you have to imagine if the season can continue like this for them, they're looking at another excellent year in 2020.
Well, we know there won't be a World Series. I know that Wolfe has talked about bringing in a team from Indiana, maybe Illinois, but does not appear to be a World Series this year. But they will have regional championships. They're talking about a 3-game playoff series, best of 3.
And that's just, I'm sure the players, they don't really mind anything right now as long as they're playing ball. It's all relative at this point, just to getting some action. Nicely hit shot down the right field, and number 5 is going to take that into a double, score a run in the process.
We'll have second and third now for the Diesel, and I believe is that their 9th run across?
That is their 9th run of the 6th inning, and the Diesel is putting it full throttle right now.
Harry Skull still here? I don't see him.
Wouldn't know him if I've seen him or if I've crossed paths with him. I'm not sure. But the story today is, first off, the pitching of Chris Quitzer early on really impressed me. Looks like an ace for the Diesel team and in great form early on. And, of course, this Diesel offense just really, from top to bottom, the lineup has produced today.
It's a 1-1 ball game in the 5th inning there in Orchard Park between the OP Sox and Team Deb.
And 2 runs are going to score right there off Max Schmetzler's single down the second base. Just bobbled a little bit, but hard hit single, and creates another problem here for the Outlaws, now giving up 11 runs in the 6th. And, prior to this 6th inning, the Outlaws really didn't have that bad of a day, but the score could be a little misleading. 1 inning is really the difference in this game being a more lopsided contest, and certainly an inning they'd like to have back.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
So up to bat right now will be Tom Lacogno, I believe. With a healthy cut. Takes a strike.
Happy to report there's still 2/3 of a tank in the Wolfe Mobile, so we should not have any problems completing this broadcast tonight, Tim.
And that's awesome. Lacogno had a double for 2 RBIs his last at bat. 1 for 3 unofficially on the day. Could be 1 for 4 or 2 for 4. I missed one of his at bats earlier, so I know he's at least got 2 RBIs and a double, and looking to add on to that right now. Looks like that vehicle of yours is a very good gas efficiency, and at least with the price of gas being down right now, it won't cost you too much. So if you are putting the tab onto your brother Paul, he's not making out too bad.
He's going to have it easy. And that will retire the side for the Diesel, but they did some serious damage here.
And it looks like the Outlaws are calling a team meeting quick to gather thoughts and maybe say a
Hail Mary.
Hail Mary, some kind of saving grace that they're looking for to, I think the key right now for them is to finish this game on a solid note. And if you're the coach, that's really what you want to talk to your players about. As if you're the manager, rather, keep them together. overall, Frank, they've had a decent outing other than that inning.
Yeah, I mean, if you take away that top six, it's been a relatively good game. You know, you got one bad play in the outfield in inning 2, led to 2 runs. Otherwise, you're looking at a 2-1 ball game.
And they've had their moments where they've been able to move runners that not to the greatest extent, but they were able to get on the board against a tough Diesel pitching squad. And right now, it looks like the Diesel staff is making another change on the mound. Number 36, Jonathan.
Is that Russ Pataglia on the mound?
I think that would be Jonathan Strasburg, Steven's brother, on the mound.
I don't know where Russ went.
I'll tell you what, the Diesel colors I'm a little bit colorblind, but it almost looks like they're red and white. Am I correct there?
Well, I think they're orange and purple.
Orange and purple. Well, there you go. So,
that is not Russ Pataglia on the mound.
but almost kind of looks like a Washington Nationals jersey in this haze. And
doesn't it?
With that beard, could fool me if it's Steven Strasburg, but you know, number 36 is on the mound, and he's got a really nice delivery with a rare, kind of a submarine-style sidearm delivery when he needs to. So it looks like he's showing a few different looks in his warm-up.
And I know this is going to shock everyone at home, but this guy is not on our roster. Number 36, I'm not seeing it.
Well, you know, Frank, that's the second time we've had a player that's not been reported on the roster, and I think there's a trend here because the players that are not on the roster also do not have names on the back of their jersey, so it could be that they're fighting for a spot on the official roster.
Yeah, could be. This very well could be what that is. Either way, that brings up number 9, Jake Wentland, is your batter for the Outlaws here in bottom 6. And he's going to get into one. He's going to send it out to center field, right center field. Where is that ball? At the weak one to center. The Outlaws have themselves a runner at first to lead off here in the bottom of the second. Tristan Aldinger is your batter.
So the Outlaws giving some opportunities for some of their substitutes and bench to get into the action here in the bottom of the 6th. It's been a really nice afternoon of baseball. Glad to see you here with us at WNYathletics.com, courtesy of the YouTube channel.
Kurt Schilling deals now 0-2 count here to Tristan Aldinger. I'm going to say it's Kurt Schilling. I know he's a righty, but still. I call him Schilling anyways because I don't know who he is. Strike 3.
Real nice delivery, and if you're Coach Paul Wolfe, I think you have to be extremely pleased with what you're seeing from your pitching staff right now. This is the 5th pitcher or 4th pitcher they've implemented into the game, and all of them having some tremendous success this afternoon.
Starting to get in a little bit of a rhythm now here, Timmy. Shut this thing down.
Now the Outlaws have a chance here in the 6th inning to try to get a couple runs back and forget what happened at the top of the inning. But that was an inning to forget, 11 runs. And, you know, you figure they had 4 runs prior to that, but the 4 runs were spread out. They had 1 run in the 1st, 2 runs in the 2nd, a run in the 3rd, held a scoreless 4th and 5th inning, and then, you know what, broke loose in the 6th. And here we are in the bottom of the 6th, and the score is 15-1.
Fly ball out to right field, and that's going to go out of play and just miss our broadcast booth, Timmy.
And with the tent, we weren't quite sure if that was going to drop down to the tent, so I took cover myself. Not sure how strong this tent is, but probably look like a fool covering my hands on my head there.
You both did. I'm looking at the eye candy out there along the first base line. Get to work.
Hey.
And Schilling is now dealing.
Summer is officially upon us.
Yes, it is.
And it's going to be a warm week, folks, so, you know, there'll be plenty of baseball, though, this week, and be sure to get out and support the Muny leagues, whether you're live at the games or watching through WNYathletics.com. It's very good action. It's tremendous baseball, and weather is absolutely perfect to play these games late afternoon, early evening.
Schilling's really dealing here. Bottom of the 6th.
And the poise of Schilling, number 36 for the Diesel, he's demonstrating a very good delivery, good command of his pitches, and
That'll do it.
just had a walk, though, so
Had a
he's
walk,
now
had a
got
walk.
runners on first and second, but I do like what I see from the young man at the mound. You could tell, Frank, it's a lazy afternoon evening here. Crowd somewhat quiet. Everybody's, I think, just really enjoying this great game that we're watching, and perhaps wondering if the Outlaws can muster a little bit of a comeback here.
There's a double play ball there, easy.
And it's not happening
Play.
with the double play.
And I should be ashamed of myself. Kurt Schilling was 38, but close enough, right?
Yeah, well, your brother Paul Wolfe has to be very pleased so far with what he's seeing. With 1 inning left, we have a score of 15-1. And right now, actually, that might have been, I'm not sure if they're calling the game here. Or
10-run rule. They could be.
it looks like it's going
Looks
to
like
do it.
they are going to call this one.
Well, and for the Outlaws, probably better off to get out of the inning. I'm sure they didn't want to end the game on a
May
sour
not have
note.
had another pitcher, to be honest. That could have been part of the problem.
Yeah, when you figure the limitations that both teams have faced, it could be an issue of availability in the bullpen for the Outlaws. You know, Frank, you make a good point because they did not have anybody else warming up, and it was difficult to probably make any additional changes this late in the game.
Timmy, what was that final score again?
15-1 is the score that I tallied, and for the Outlaws, it was really a tale of 1 inning. Other than that, they had a decent overall performance, but a lot to work on after getting out of that 6th inning with 11 runs.
So that'll do it for our first game of the year. Timmy Mrozek, it's been a pleasure working with you again. You know, usually Timmy and I do a whole bunch of high school stuff, but today we're doing some Muny AAA baseball. We'll be out here again in the near future, bringing you another game. Of course, we're going to demand the Diesel give us the exact roster, names, numbers, and everything else to help us out next time along. We'll have to see, but they're off to a rolling start once again. But we thank you very much to our sponsors, Scroy Financial, G&G Fitness, UBMD Orthopedics, and West Herr, for allowing us to do this game today. And, of course, New Era, the proud sponsor of the Muny AAA Baseball League. For Timmy Mrozek, I am Harry Doyle / Frank Wolfe. Thank you, Russ Pataglia, for your fine work on camera today. See you later in the week here on the Muny AAA Baseball